Friends, another up tune. Hey, friends, welcome to the, it's the guitar show, but we're kind of doing these impromptu bits here during the week since everybody's home. So it's March the 20th, and welcome to the guitar show. We've had a lot of folks, obviously home from work, obviously home from school, who've been tuning in this week, and we're really excited about that because it's a way that we can just have a good time together, get close to each other, get close to the guitar, have some fun, get our minds off of other things other than just staying at home and all that. So, yeah, here we go. We're going to have a blast today. Let's see. We had a big live broadcast on Saturday. Been doing broadcasts all week. We had a sale that ended last night. We are going to talk about 7 areas of practice. Let me see what I actually titled this broadcast so I can 7 daily practice exercises to boost your guitar skills. So we're going to talk about that today. And I'm also going to be taking your questions in real time. Cool? All right, there's almost 400 of us in here today. Let's do this. All right, so 365 was kind of like a brainchild of mine that I created, I don't know, maybe a couple years ago now. It's been a long time, probably like 5 years ago, but we just had it released maybe like a year or so ago. It took a long time to have that released because there was a lot of work in it. But essentially what I was thinking was, how can I get people's hands to stay on the guitar even if they don't know what to practice? So, you know me, I like to prescribe songs and real music as the thing that you should be focusing on, at least when it comes to picking up the guitar, because like I say, no one's made a career of exercises. Plenty of musicians have made careers of playing songs and writing songs and that sort of thing. So why not get to playing some songs? With that being said, if you're just playing songs, then that's going to be your comfort zone and you're not going to be able to stretch yourself. Whereas actually doing exercises that are specifically designed to pull you out of your comfort zone and get you to stretch yourself in some way or another is a fantastic way to grow as a musician. And so, hence 365 days of practice. And what I did is I divided it amongst 7 different days of the week. And I start you off very, 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 very simple, okay? And then turn up the heat 52 times over the year so that you can literally go from a baby beginner doing this stuff and then by the end of the year be just like raging. Okay, so let's talk about that, what that looks like exactly. And I may show you inside of the program. It's less important unless you're wanting to get in there, and you can check it out because we are going to do a special on it today, 75% off. Because a lot of folks are going to be at home for a bit and they want to get to know their guitar, so this is one way we can do it and give you this stuff at a massive discount, okay? Okay, I may show you inside the program here, and I may not, like I said. And for those folks that don't want to, you still want to have lessons, but you don't want to pay for anything, I've got so many lessons for you for free. Gave out 50 or 60 of them yesterday. You can check that link out from yesterday. And then, 1,300 of them or so here on YouTube. Okay, so I've got to look at the program myself, otherwise I'm going to forget. Okay, so 7 different practice areas, and here they are from the top, and then we'll talk about them. So alternate picking is on Mondays. Tuesdays is hammer-ons and pull-offs. I'm actually looking at, we're not online. My computer's not online, is it, Mike? Where you could see it.
Do you want it?
Yeah, it might be cool for later.
I can pull it up for you.
Yeah, okay, that'd be awesome. Yeah, it's going to take a minute to get hooked up.
No, it's good.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's show it to him. Okay, so this will just show you from, basically, this is inside of 365, and we're going to be going according to this today. So on Mondays, I have exercises for alternate picking. On Tuesdays, it's hammer-ons and pull-offs, just emphasizing that. Wednesdays is economy picking, so things like sweep picking, arpeggios, what I call angular picking. Thursdays is all about finger picking. Oh, sorry. It's not all about finger picking. It's all about stretching and reaching. So this is, I'll get into it in a minute. It's just stretch and reach for the moment, okay? Friday is modes and scales. Saturday is octaves, double stops, and basically polyphonic playing. So more than one note at a time. And then Sundays is all about finger picking, okay? So basically I just broke this up into 7 days a week. You don't have to be in the program to do this, okay? If you want, there'll be a discount for it. The link will be below. But nonetheless, this is what the protocol basically that we'll be following today. So what I like to do is, thanks Mike, that's all I need for right now on that. So I like to break these up into these different days, just like I would when I go to the gym. I'm going to emphasize a particular something because if you do the same thing all the time, you're going to find yourself getting stuck, okay? So, and you're going to find yourself not growing as much. So if you can force yourself to do certain things on certain days, it's going to expand you as a player, or if you're working out, it's going to expand you as an athlete to be doing these different things. And we have to get out of our mindsets, right? Just like right now with staying at home and what have you, it's changed our mindsets. It's shaken things up. We're thinking differently, all the rest. And that's good because it's going to force us out of repetitive thinking and cycles. It's always a good thing to do that. So let's talk about it. On Mondays, what I like to do is let's get something here that isn't going to annoy you with all this verb that we had going on there. 8. Okay, so alternate picking. And why is this important? Well, number one, alternate picking is the idea of going 1, 2, 3, 4, or down, up. So with every other pick, we come up. So down, up, strict down, up. So if I'm playing a scale, doesn't matter what's happening here, it's just a strict down, up, 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 down. Okay, that's what alternate picking is. In fact, yeah. Forget about that. What I was going to say. Forget about it. So alternate picking, that's it. And you can take the simplest of exercises like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is helpful because you can focus on dropping your thumb behind the back of the neck instead of keeping it over the top if you'd like to work on that technique. It also focuses you on your picking hand technique. Now, as far as what's happening in the left hand, you can do anything you want, but preferably something that you have to think about a bit. So not just random playing, but if you wanted to go 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4. Well, you could play something more complex. It doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're doing real strict alternate picking. You want to make sure that you're hitting all the strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Whatever speed you want to do it. That's the cool thing about this program and about this sort of exercise is that wherever you're at, you can always do more. And wherever you're at, if it seems too much, you can always pull back and do less. So that these exercises, even though you're you may be new to them or you've done them for a long time, you can always be pushing yourself. That's the great thing about this. There's nobody, I don't care how advanced the guitar player is, there's always something that can push them more, either pushing the speed or pushing the technique, making it more complex or something. And if you're having difficulty with it, you can always scale it back, okay? So that's alternate picking. Make sure you incorporate that in your routine in some way, okay? On Tuesdays, I talk about hammer-ons and pull-offs. So a myriad of different combinations here, but you can use the same exercises, and that's the way that I do it in the program here. So if I wanted to pick the first note and hammer 2, 3, 4, it would look like this. Folks say, man, I have such a difficult time with that. Right, because you just haven't practiced. This is literally the stuff that's going to fix it. So it's always funny when people say, I have such a hard time with that. You should. It's because you haven't practiced it. That's the stuff you got to be doing, okay? And you can do this for any combination. 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4. And you want to go nice and slow. So 1, 3, 2, 4. So I pick the first note, I hammer, I pull off, I hammer. And this takes a lot of concentration oftentimes, especially in the beginning, because it's new, right? So Tuesdays, I focus on just hammer-ons and pull-offs, okay, inside that program. Wednesdays is what we call economy picking. So we don't always alternate pick. Sometimes we do what's called economy picking. Economy picking says this: when you're picking, if it's more economical, movement-wise, that is, if you can save on your movements by not doing alternate picking, but by pushing through to another string, I'll show you an example here in just a minute, then you'll want to practice that. Okay, so for instance, a lot of great guitar players like Yngwie Malmsteen do this. In fact, when Yngwie Malmsteen just came on the scene, I remember when I was a kid and I heard him and I just was like, dear Lord, this guy is a freak of nature in how he plays. So fast, so clean, amazing. And a buddy of mine said, oh yeah, the only thing he does is alternate picking, what I showed you just a minute ago, right? Alternate picking, that's all he does. That's why he's so good at that. And I thought, wow, that's amazing, because I suck at alternate picking. I do this economy picking, and I didn't know it was economy picking. I thought it was sloppy picking. I thought it was just me without any sort of rules. I thought it was unorthodox, and I thought it was goofy. And so once he told me this about Yngwie, which by the way wasn't true, I ended up just alternate picking everything. And I did that for years and years and years until later on I found out that that's not what he did. In fact, he did lots of economy picking, what I'm about to show you here. So for instance, if let's say we were doing 3 notes per string scales. You've heard of this, right? Where people play like. Okay, that's 3 notes per string as opposed to. Okay, 3 notes per string. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so strict alternate picking would say down, up, 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 down, up. Okay? Economy picking would say this: if you are doing a downstroke and the next pick is a string below, then keep going down. It wouldn't make sense to pass the string and then pick up. But alternate picking, that's what it says, right? Alternate picking is just strict down, up, down, up, down, up. So if I go down, up, down, I'm going past the string and coming up for the next pick. Down, up, down, up, down, going past the string and then coming up. Some would say that's a wasted movement. It's not very economical. It's not being very efficient, okay? And so what strict economy picking would say is this: you're going to go down, up. Now watch this. Down. My next pick is down, so I'm going to keep going. down, up, down, and then I keep going down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. So basically, if it makes sense to keep going, then that's what you do. Now, some folks who, like me, when I was growing up, I did this just naturally. It's what I did because it made a lot of sense to me. And having that hacking kind of mind, which I do, which I always like to break things down. My father was an engineer. He was from Berlin. A lot of Germans are, that's the way they think. That's the way their brains are wired, their lineage. And so it's probably why I hack stuff and I break things down like I do. And so that's just naturally how I did things. But for those that do strict alternate picking and then they go to do economy picking, they get very confused. Someone who's done economy picking and then they try to do just alternate picking, they get very confused. This is so hard. Listen, it's not because you're dumb. It's not because that's more natural to you. It's just that's what you're used to. Just like I'm used to speaking English, so I'm pretty good at English, but I suck at Mandarin or German because I don't speak those. So, and I don't live in those countries. I don't live in China and I don't live in Germany, so I didn't speak that way. So obviously I'm not going to be good at that. Same way with you. If you practice economy picking growing up, that's what you're going to be good at it. If you practice alternative picking or alternate picking, then that's what you're going to be good at. It's literally as simple as that. So, but you want to get well-rounded, hence these stretching exercises, not stretching like this, although we'll get to that in just a minute, but I mean like stretching yourself, pushing yourself. I tell you this all the time, whether you're meditating, working out, spending time with your family, running, playing guitar, whatever, if you're not pushing against your boundary, if you're not pushing against your edge of what you're capable of, then you are not growing and you will not be happy in that particular area. We're happy when we grow. We're unhappy when we don't grow. Okay, so if you're unhappy with your plan, if you're frustrated with your plan, it's because you're not growing and you've got to press up against your edge, what they call the edge. If you're not pressing up against that all the time, you don't have the challenges. Right now, we're having challenges with this stuff, right? It's challenging our minds, it's challenging our hearts, it's challenging our pocketbooks and our friendships and our relationships and everything else. But that's where the glory happens. It really does. It doesn't happen when we're all comfy. So get uncomfortable, purposefully get uncomfortable by doing stuff like this, and it's going to grow you as a player or whatever it is that you're applying these basic concepts to. So back to economy picking here. In these exercises, what I do is the first exercise I have you do is this. It goes down, up, down, down, and then that's it. That's the first exercise, and that's all you do that day. You go down, up, down, down. Sorry, I knew you were wanting me to play that all the way through. So that's what you're going to do. Down, up, down, down. And that would be exercise 1 on that Wednesday. And then the next week, it would be something like... And I slowly get you into this. So if you think you suck at this, you don't. It's just that you're not used to it, and then I warm you up to it, and after each week, I put a little bit more, and then eventually you're going to be off to the races and rocking on this stuff, okay? And then I also talk about like arpeggios, sweep arpeggios, which is also counts as economy picking because we're sweeping across the strings. If I pick that alternate picking, that would be really goofy because why would I do that? I'm sweeping across the strings. Make sense? Okay, makes sense? So that's what I call economy picking.
Got a donation from Tim.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for the donation, Tim. Very much appreciate that. Yeah, you'll have to yell out since I'm not on that screen right now. Thank you very much, Mike.
Say hi to Corey Congelio.
Okay. Say hi to Corey Congelio. Yes, I will do that. All right, so Thursdays is stretch and reach. So this is exercises. So I start you off doing 2-finger and then 3-finger, then 4-finger, and then 2-fret stretching and then advanced stretching and all the rest. Again, you start simply, just like a baby would, doing baby stuff, and then you do little kid stuff, and then you do slightly bigger kid stuff, and then you do big kid stuff, and then adult stuff, etc. Okay, so that's the best way to do anything, is to do it in sequential order. That's why I write all my books and create all my courses this same way, right? So what I do is I start you off on these small frets here, and I start you off with 2 fingers that are nice and easy, and this is how I start you off. Obviously you would do it slower, but this would be one of the stretching exercises. And then later on I have you doing some crazier stuff like this. Could do it finger picking. And that's just going to get you stretched. It's going to get you to drop that thumb behind the back of the neck. A lot of times people have problems with bar chords and they got their thumb up here and they don't get that daggone thumb down here where it needs to be so that you can create a nice bar right there. If you got your thumb up here, your fingers are going to naturally curl. But if you drop that thumb, now you're going to be able to play bar chords easier. Yes, that's a goofy grip as opposed to this. If we want to hold a shovel, that's the way we hold it. But we're also curling our fingers. So what we have to do is we have to play more like this, which is very unnatural. So we got the technique down, but we got to get the strength down, and that comes from doing exercises like this. Yes, this makes more sense when we're grabbing a shovel. But we're not grabbing a shovel, we're grabbing a guitar neck. And so we got to drop that thumb behind the back of the neck so we can play our bar chords. If you have issues with bar chords, that's your problem. It's either lack of technique because you're doing this, you got that thumb over the top of the neck and you're getting this curl here, you're never going to get a good bar, or you're dropping your thumb behind the neck, you're doing the right technique, but you haven't got the stamina for it yet. You haven't built those muscles yet. And that just comes from practice. There's no person on the face of the earth since the beginning of time to the end of time, amen, who's ever just played a bar chord and just made it happen. It happens through practice, and it happens through strengthening the hand and using proper technique, etc., etc., etc. Cool? Got it? All right, so that's stretching, stretch and reach. Lots of stuff on that. So Friday, I dedicate to modes, scales, and sequences. And the idea here is we're taking some of the techniques that we're learning, but now we're applying it in a way where you're going to be using these scales and these modes and these sequences in such a way that they'll become more musical. And so, maybe one of the exercises might be, okay, the pentatonic scale. You're going to learn the pentatonic scale that day, the 5-note scale. Here are the 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we repeat the octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be one of the exercises. Then later on, I might do something like... these are sequences. Or if I'm playing... major scale. So just learning those basic sequences and that sort of thing is going to help get your mind going and stretching in ways that you maybe hadn't thought about before. Then I have, Saturdays is dedicated to polyphonic playing, so like octaves, double stops, triads, that sort of thing. Octaves, right? Triads would be, triad is a 3-note chord, so like going through your diatonic triads, this would be G major. Okay. Okay, that would be an example, or double stops. Okay, you've heard double stops before, right?
For you.
What's that?
Watchman for you is a donation.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Watchman, for you. Beautiful. I'm going to get to that screen in just a minute here for donations and all. Thank you so much. So appreciate it. So that's Saturday. And then Sunday is finger picking. It's all about finger picking. So once you learn the basic techniques in UGS Standard, free for you today. The link for that's in the description below. You'll learn the basic technique for finger picking, plus I have a ton of exercises in there. And then what Sunday does inside of the program is it brings you through 52 levels of finger picking, and it's only on Sundays, okay? And so in this case here, maybe the first exercise would be learning that basic first arpeggio that Kirk Hammett wrote a whole song on, or at least the intro for a song. Metallica, right? And then what I do is I take you through more advanced modules of finger picking, but that'll give you the basic idea there, okay? All right, so that is the 365 guitar plan, but again, you don't have to be in this to get that idea. If you just write those down and emphasize something on those days, like according to what I'm telling you here, then you're going to be stretching yourself. You're going to be doing different techniques that you might not normally do if you're practicing. Folks that are inside of UGS will ask sometimes, what about 365? How should I do that? And I'll say, well, UGS is, if you will, it's your guitar teacher. It's like where you meet and you talk and you ask questions and you learn. Whereas 365 is like going to the gym. And those are exercises. So when you're in 365 guitar plan, you're practicing, you're playing. There's not a ton of learning per se about music. It's all technique, and it's all developing your technique. It's not about like learning how this chord works with this scale, et cetera, et cetera. That's what UGS is for. 365 is literally exercises to sharpen your technique, okay? They're two different things. You could use both of them, okay? All right, excellent. All right, I'm going to go to some questions here. So, wow, thank you. What's that?
I say get Christine then.
Christine, thank you. Had so many questions about 365 and you are addressing them all. Beautiful. So Christine's in UGS and we talk all the time. Yes, if you are in 365, if you're in UGS and you want to let folks know about it, then please let them know about it. Would love for you to do that and let other folks know. And yeah, this is a great time to get those questions answered. Whether you're in it or not, let's talk about it. Let's talk about practice. Let's talk about anything that you have in regards to guitar or anything else for that matter, because we're all quarantined and having a good time together. Just a big freaking awesome family here. So let's do it, okay? 365 stretch hurts sometimes. It does, because I don't treat you like babies. I treat you like the guitar warriors that you are. And I stretch you and I say, hey, come on, you can do this, because we know that that's true. Okay? Heinrich, is the backing track of the guitar music you were playing yesterday in E minor available on the UGS site? Under which title? You know, no, but I have one that kind of is. It's similar to that. But no, that one that I did yesterday, I was just kind of making up on the fly. I just like some of those chords. I like that E minor, A minor, B7 bit. But I do have, inside of my backing tracks, which inside of UGS, there's like over 600 jam tracks, and we're building that with some other jam tracks and visual jam tracks where you can see the chords going by and that sort of thing. But one of the jam tracks that I've created in there, I call it Slow Led Zeppelin Blues, and it has that vibe to it. So check that out. It's under the blues section inside of UGS, okay? Thanks for going through 365. Help me realize I'm doing Thursday wrong. Can you do a few more examples of double stops? Yes. So think about double stops a lot of times as harmonies of a particular note. So I did it in the beginning there in the jam where I would go like using two notes at a time. Those are double stops. Or this. I love double stops. They have a great sound, and I think I originally learned them when I was learning how to harmonize. I was listening to a lot of Iron Maiden and wondering how those guys were harmonizing, and then I found out, okay, well they're one guy's playing a part of the scale and the other guy's playing a third above it. And that's a great way to think about double stops. So essentially, if we're playing a scale, and then we play a harmony above it, that's how double stop sounds. So So you notice sometimes these two fingers are not separated, whereas other times they are. And that's because we're following the scale. If I didn't do that, it would sound wonky like this. So we want to follow the scale. Okay, so those are double stops. You say we can finger pick double stops as well? No. Yeah, sure. I'm doing it right now. This is finger picking. No pick. Magic. Yeah, double stops without finger picking. I mean, while finger picking. Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. Psycho Atta Bob. All right, those are sixths, correct? Kind of, Donnie. They're thirds, but if you flip a third upside down, it becomes a sixth. So, for instance, if we wanted to do a six, right, in a similar fashion, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I could go. Okay, these are thirds actually that I was playing. And I'd have to analyze what I just said right there. I'm not entirely sure that was true. So nix what I just said, and I'm not going to take the time to figure it out right now. But essentially, anytime you harmonize a note, if you're playing a note that's right next to that note, it sounds a little dissonant. So you want to be at least one scale step away. Okay, thirds. Yeah, so thirds are great. People use them in worship music a lot, so it might sound like this. So that's a great sound. Thirds, fifths, fourths, sixths, sevenths even sound good. Just depends on what you're going for. But make sure that you're at least one scale step away for that nice sound, right? For that nice harmonic sound, if you will. Okay, good. All right, thank you, Craig. Thank you, Fish Band. Beautiful. Can you hammer a 1-4-2, please? I lose a lot of sound by the time I get to 2. Okay, Marcos, so here's the deal. A lot of people think that the string has to be resonating and that you lose the sound like you're saying. That's common for folks to say that in the beginning. But in fact, the technique that you're using for your hammer-ons and pull-offs is actually the thing that keeps the string going. Yes, if you pick the string in the beginning, then yeah, you can kind of keep a little bit of that vibration going on, but it has as much to do with your technique than it does have to do with if you picked the string hard enough and kept all that going. So for instance, you're saying 1-4-2, so I'm going to pick, right? So here's 4. If I waited a whole year, or if I waited till the sound goes away like this, the string's obviously not vibrating much, but if I go from 4 to 2, I can get the string to vibrate again. So proving that it's not so much that the string's vibrating and you're keeping it going, that's part of it, but really it has to do with your technique. So technically you could do that forever, and it's not, the string's not gonna stop ringing because you keep agitating it with a hammer, with a pull-off, with a hammer, with a pull-off. So think about you plucking the string with your fingertip, not your nail, but your fingertip. You're pulling it down, and that's gonna create that pull-off feel, okay? Practice that, and you'll get better at it, I can promise you. Okay, good. Ken's saying, I like this video, has helped remove some of the confusion. Good. So for other folks out there, because I've seen a few of these coming through now, that means we're hitting a hurting point for folks. So let me know if somebody else out there is wondering why it is that they're not getting this particular sound, or if they're having issues with any of this, okay? Are there two types of scales? For example, the A minor pentatonic and G major forms in which we can play for all of the major and minor chord progressions, or is there something else too? That is I don't know what that question means. So there's all sorts of scales. For every one scale there's 12 keys. So yeah, there's G major, there's A minor, there's a G major pentatonic, there's A minor pentatonic. When I see these questions, it tells me that you have not been in UGS standard, which I provide for you for free, and it means you don't have those basics covered. And if you don't have those basics covered, I can't really help you because we can't talk the same way. So even your question there, not picking on you, I'm just saying the way you've phrased that question, you obviously haven't gone through UGS standard, which everybody has available to them for free today, okay? Go through that first, then we can talk the same language. Otherwise, when you ask questions like that, I won't know what you're saying, okay? And I apologize if I'm unable to answer that question, but I can only answer what I understand. Cool? How do you do tapping technique properly? So tapping is the same as a hammer-on or pull-off. You're just doing it with, your picking hand. So this is, I'm plucking the string with my first finger here. I'm muting, okay? This is all part of the stuff that people don't realize. In this case here, I'm muting the 6th string, I'm muting the 4th string, so that I can pluck this string with my finger. It's an A string. And then I might hammer to the 3rd, might hammer the 5th, might hammer the 12th with my first finger, and then a pull off, and then pull off, and then pull off. Hammer, 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 pull, pull, pull. Hammer, 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 pull, pull, pull. Anyhow, something like that, exercises that might help with that sort of thing. So you want to take it nice and slow. Do this very, 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 very slow and very, very focused. Make sure you're accurate, because speed, whenever you see somebody who's fast at the guitar, it has everything to do with their accuracy, not so much to do with speed. The speed is a byproduct. It's something that happens because you've been accurate. You will never see a fast player who's playing cleanly, that is. You'll never see a fast player who's not very, 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 very accurate and did the accuracy first. If you focus on accuracy, your speed will happen. If you focus on speed, you're just gonna get really frustrated. Focus on accuracy, because you can do that right now, okay? When performing a pull-off from the G string, how do you keep from the B string ringing? Jeff, in the same way that you would any of the other strings. So, it doesn't matter what string. You could put any strings in that example that you just said. You have to mute the other strings. It's all about your technique getting better, okay? Thank you so much for the donation there, Brent Boardman. Which day, I can't even answer that. I don't know what that means.
Which day covers muting?
Oh, which day covers muting? Brent's saying. Okay, thank you, Brent. Well, it just depends. There's you know, it's part and parcel. So when you need to mute, you mute. Brent, I've got some videos for that on YouTube here. Search YourGuitarSage muting, because one player might use it on one day and then another player may not, depending on their technique. So what I like to do a lot of times is I'll mute with my left hand, I'll mute with my right hand. Sometimes a little bit overkill, but it's just, since it's kind of like a fail-safe for me, it's double. So where someone might not mute at all, their technique may be so good that they don't need to do muting. Okay, so it just depends on what it is that you're doing. That's why there's not like a day dedicated to that. That's more like a technique that you learn and then you apply it to all these things that we're doing. But on YouTube, search YourGuitarSage muting, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about for this, okay? So for instance, Jeff is saying, when performing a pull-off from the G, how do you keep from the B string ringing? Okay, so watch this. If I'm picking here, this is the G. It doesn't matter what I'm picking on here, but if I pick and I do a pull-off, the B string's not ringing. Why is that? Well, number one, it's being muted by my first finger. So see how my finger is not playing like this. I'm not playing exactly on my fingertip. I mean, I am, but I'm also using the bottom part of my finger here to mute the B string and the string above it, the D, and the first string. So this way, if I strum all 4 strings on the bottom, I only have one note that rings out. So when I do a pull-off, does that make sense? But it doesn't matter what string I'm on. If I don't have that muted and then I do a pull-off, now I'm going to hear the B string. So you just need to fat finger. It's what we call fat fingering. It's when you start muting the other notes with your fretting hand. On YouTube, search YourGuitarSage muting, and it'll either be, I think it's like fretting hand muting is one of the videos, and the other one might be picking hand muting, or I might have called it left hand, but probably not. For the lefties out there, they're going to be doing the opposite. I think I named it fretting hand muting and picking hand muting. Okay. Nice and slow, that's the way to do it, indeed. Michael saying, I'm brand new. Where should I start to learn? Michael, focus and listen to this one thing. Link is below, YourGuitarSage Standard. It's free, or go directly to yourguitarsage.com/30. Start there. Go through those 30 some odd videos. They don't cost you a penny. They're step by step. You can't mess up. You will absolutely build a foundation that will help with everything else that you do on the guitar, and I don't ask a penny for it. I specifically set that up because I had so many people responding on YouTube, and I can't get to them all. I mean, obviously, all the comments coming through, it's beautiful and it's awesome, but I can't get to them. There's just absolutely no way for me to be able to produce content for you guys and answer everybody's questions. So that's why I try to make courses like that and ebooks and free stuff so that you guys can get in there. And then if you really want to learn, you really want to dig in deep, I have a path for you to do that too, and a way for me to keep the lights on, because I do charge for that. Just like whoever has a job in here, you charge for whatever it is that you're doing, right? But I've got so much free stuff, it's not even funny, okay? Okay, hey there, Sage. Do you know a good exercise for your right hand that you can do all the time? Fishband. You'll have to let me know specifically what you're looking for, Fishband. If you're talking about just exercise, then yeah, get a exerciser, get a piece of putty or something like that. Otherwise, if you're talking about getting better at the guitar, I got picking exercises, finger picking exercises. Do all of those, okay? Got lots of stuff for that. Start in UGS Standard. I've got exercises in there for you, okay? Good. Can you do an artificial harmonic? Yeah, so an artificial harmonic, we talked about this yesterday, is the idea of when you pick a note, you allow the string to barely touch your finger, and it creates the same harmonic sound that we hear that's like that, right? But here I'm doing it with the side of my finger. cool? That's an artificial harmonic. And I have a video on that on YouTube. Search Your Guitar Sage Squealy or Your Guitar Sage Pseudo, 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 for pseudo harmonic or fake harmonic. Your Guitar Sage artificial harmonic, I think you can find it that way too. Okay, and friends, if you would, all caps and a question mark, that will help me a ton, okay? And all right, so let's get to some more of those questions. If you would too, friends, share this right now. Take a moment, if you would. Let other folks know. There are other folks that want to get their mind off of things as well. So let's do that. Let's help them out. Share this. There's a little button right underneath the video, right next to the like. If you haven't liked it already, come on, do me a favor there and hit that like button, please. And then right next to that is a share button. And then that's how you share it, okay? Yeah, please do that. Okay. So Fishman is saying, oh, picking exercise. So if you're talking about picking, the first thing that I teach people how to do is what's called the pick rest. Okay, I stole this from classical school where we did a, what's it called? I forgot what it's called, but it's basically the same thing, but you're doing it with your finger. Is it called the pick rest? It's not called the pick rest. It doesn't matter. But the idea is this. You pick a note and you allow your pick to rest on the string below it. Now, a lot of times, 99% of the time when I would show this to students, they would do this. They'd go, oh, that's easy. I can do that. I can pick a string. And I'm like, no, you're just picking out into the universe. What I want you to do is I want you to pick and let that pick land on the string below it. And for some people, this is super easy. For other people, they just don't get it at first. They're trying to do something else. It's not about picking the string. Yes, you need to pick the string, but it's all about allowing that pick to fall onto the string below it. If that's super easy for you, then good. That means you're beyond people who can't do that. And if you can't do this yet, then learn to do it. It's really easy. Simple technique, but more than probably any picking exercise I've ever shown to people, they say, gosh, that's helped me so much for pick control, especially in the beginning, because in the beginning you're just picking away and the pick's going everywhere and there's no control. So in this case here, you're kind of allowing the guitar to help you out, okay? How many pentatonic scales are there? One for every note? Yes, there are 12 different keys. J Rath, there's 12 different keys, and there's approximately 5 different pentatonic forms because there's 5 notes, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, or this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back to 1 again. So if you learn those 5 pentatonic shapes and then you move them to the 12 different keys, you have 60 different places to go, okay? So those are the sorts of things that I cover inside of UGS, inside of 365, and that's where I'm getting some of those exercises from as well. Okay. I got thousands of original tracks recorded. Some are wicked. Can I do anything with them? Yeah, sure. They're good. If they're good jam tracks and stuff, put them out there on YouTube where we can use them. That would be cool. Okay. Do you think practicing scales and chord changes is better than practicing particular songs? I think that songs are great. And then practicing scales and chords is good. You would want to do that too, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to songs, right? People don't really care about you stepping on stage and practicing scales or chord changes, really, for that matter. They want to hear songs, you know? Levon, Your Guitar Sage, do you remember me? I've been almost all your live streams this week. Oh, yes, of course, Levon. I remember you. I remember you from every day this week, for sure. Okay. How can I improve my picking and fretting accuracy? I tend to miss a lot. Levon, that has to do with more practice, playing through your scales, playing your songs. This is a question for everybody because I see this sort of thing a lot. Whatever it is that you're doing, just do it a lot more. Practice more songs, practice more scales. Don't even ask the question, how much do I have to practice? Especially during this time, ask how much can you practice? And just go down the rabbit hole. Spend a lot of time with your instrument, just like you would a loved one that you want to get to know. Okay? Spend lots of time digging in and do it over and over and over and over again until you get it, until it feels right. Okay? But do them together. So you can practice your picking alone, you can practice your fretting alone, and that's good, especially if it's too overwhelming to do both at the same time, but eventually you got to bring the two together. Let's see, Deocto is saying, I'm an advanced beginner. My trouble is that most beginner exercises are too easy and advanced stuff is too hard. I've been in a rut for a year because of it. Okay, number one, anything that's easy for you can always be made harder by playing it faster. And anything that you're saying is too hard is not too hard. You just need to slow it down, okay? So it's more about finding that inner strength to just push through, to power on. But it would be helpful if you had some exercises that were fun to play, you know, or that moved you and you could feel that progression. That's why I created 365, is because there's 52 weeks of gradual growth. So you're never going to be in a place, at least for a year. And even after that year, you can go through the whole course again, but just speed it up. There's no way for you to stop playing if I just slowly increase the heat, because you'll feel it from last week. You'll be like, oh, okay, I can feel it. We're a little bit harder now, right? A little bit more difficult. Big Daddy Hobo is saying, how can I soften my fretting? That's a great question. You can soften your fretting, first off, by recognizing it like you did, and then also being conscious of it. Deliberately playing your scale or whatever it is that you're doing with focus, with consciousness, being in the moment. So if I'm playing my scale here, I can literally, I could say, let me try to move my fingers as least bit as possible. The least bit. And you barely see my fingers move because I'm concentrating on it. Or I could really move my fingers big, right? Why do that? Let's focus on a nice soft landing. If you do that, you build neural paths, okay? That's what all this practice is about, is building a neural path, okay? What's the difference between an artificial harmonic and a pinch harmonic? They're the same thing. And they're really not artificial, they're harmonics. But it's what people call artificial harmonics, but they're regular harmonics. Can you play an A7 one-chord vamp slowly so I can learn it and put it in my looper to practice my pentatonic forms? I searched vamp in UGS and came up empty. So Cheap Zen, the only thing you're doing with a vamp is you are playing a chord. That's all you're doing. So you can do anything you want with it. As far as the tempo, you know. Let's do so I'm just playing a chord. You can do whatever tempo that you want. And I have many different versions of the A7 in the program there where you can check it all out. Even though no one is traveling, how any tips on practicing while traveling? Hard to take a guitar everywhere. Ted. Yeah, so some things that I like to do is I have a shred neck, which is just like 5 frets. It's not a tunable instrument. It's just literally a fretboard with strings so that you can move your fingers around. So there's that. There's things like the the pocket guitar, which is not a guitar at all. It's basically just a way to get your fingers moving. Grip Master, right? Something that you can grip. You could use a capo and exercise those fingers separately like this. A runner just told me the other day they were working with some of my exercises and they were saying they did this thing when they're running where they literally press on one finger like this and then press on one finger like this while they're running, counting to the beat, pulsing. So there's all sorts of things you can do. You can take your hand on a desk or a table and go 1 3 2 4 1 3 2 4 1 4 2 3 1 4 3 2. You can do all these different exercises just to keep your fingers moving. You can visualize fretboards. You can draw out fretboards, chords, scales, all this music theory that I'm talking about. You can do that. You could get music notation and do the same thing so that you can wrap your mind around the visualization of what's going on both on the guitar or on the music staff. There's so many different things that you can do. Just physically exercising your hand, listening, right? Real attentive, focused listening to music, listening to ear training tapes, listening to jam tracks, listening to great players. There's a million different things that you could be doing while you're traveling. Can I collab with Music Is Win? I could. I think he's in town here. Pretty sure he's in Nashville. Okay. All right. Cool. All right, if you would, my friends, go ahead and share this with your friends as well. If you want to get into 365, we're doing this 75% off. We did have this massive sale that ended yesterday, but we said, let's go ahead and talk about practice again today, and then we'll continue the 75% off of 365. But the other stuff did end, yeah. Sandy Lee, Journey Guitar, I talked to you Saturday. Need to change info. Help, please. Sandy, I received an email from you and it said I need to change my address. And there was no address change in that email. So please message me on however we messaged you. Return that message there, not in some other chat like this. I obviously can't do anything right now like this. So, Sandy, in the email that we sent to you, respond to that with the correct information, please. You said something about an address change. And obviously, things are getting wonky right now as far as anything. So, what I mean by that is mailing anything out. Things are shutting down here, just the whole 9 yards. So you're just going to have to hang with us. I promise you, we'll get you all. Okay, you should have gotten the course already, by the way. I'm sure you have. Hey man, what's a sweep? A sweep is when we sweep across the strings, right? Like this. It's one of my favorite licks. You know, you've heard this. Right? And you've heard Yngwie Malmsteen with his sweep arpeggios. That's what a sweep is. Going across the strings like this. Could you please recommend blues exercises? Practice your pentatonic scales, practice your blues scales, practice your boogie-woogie licks here on YouTube. Search YourGuitarSage boogie-woogie. Anything blues, search YourGuitarSage blues. Got tons of stuff for you. But man, you know, exercises are good for a minute, but really get into speaking. Get into speaking with your guitar, playing songs, improvising, that sort of thing. I've got a video for pretty much anything that you need here on YouTube. Okay? From where to start ear training? Say something about it. Okay, Raid Rocks, I will. So, my first exercise for you for ear training here on YouTube, search YourGuitarSage ear. Inside of UGS, I have a whole course for that. But essentially, just start with a note. Ba 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 ba, or a melody. You got to find note one before you can find the other notes. I'm gonna hum that note. I call this hum and hunt. There it is, it's an A. So ba ba ba. Now all the other notes will be easy to find. Ba 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 ba. And this is where knowing some music theory comes in really handy. So instead of me just guessing at those notes, I guess that it might be out of the major scale, and it's a good place to start a song is on the tonic. He says jokingly because a lot of songs start on the tonic, they end on the tonic, the key of the song. Also the first chord of the song, the last chord of the song, oftentimes are the tonic or the key. So ba 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 ba, and that's right out of the major scale. So many different ways to do it, right? And then do other songs. I mean, that's how I learned to play guitar at first, is I just used my ear and, imagined, little melodies, whether it was Iron Man or Smoke on the Water, James Bond theme, it didn't matter. I was using my ear all the time, right? Isn't vamping just another term for freestyle? Now, vamping is usually, it's like playing a chord progression, and oftentimes it's referred to like playing like a one chord vamp. But a vamp is like doing something, like just playing. It's usually playing some sort of chord. And then, so freestyle could be anything, freestyle swimming, freestyle rapping, freestyle, improvisation on the guitar, that sort of thing. Slow it down, break it down. You're right, Stivosaurus. Yeah. Oh, beautiful, Jeff. Thank you. I use 365 Plan as my warm-up every day, and it's fabulous. Yay. Good. The share button, can you fix it? Sandy, the share button's working fine. It just may not be working on your computer, but I can't fix your computer. But yeah, I can assure you that the share button is working. Will you show a view of sitting position and your stool? I have trouble finding a good position that I can sit and practice for a long time. Will you show a view of you sitting? I mean, like literally this is maybe like a 3 foot or 2.5 foot stool, and I'm just sitting on it. There is a rail under here where I'm putting my feet. Otherwise, I would just put them on the ground like that and play like that, but I prefer my feet to be up so that the guitar is supported more. So that's all I'm doing. There's no rocket science on that one. At your level, Sage level, are you going to play a gig? What warm-up exercises do you do? Oh, Marcos, you think I'm a much better player than I actually am, but I appreciate that. At your level, if you're going to play a gig, what warm-up exercises do you do? So I would probably, I'm not in a live band right now. The last live gig I did was quite a while ago, like over a year ago. Is that true? I don't know. No, it was less than that. I played a gig with my daughter, but I don't do a lot of live playing these days. But usually I would practice with whatever it is that I'm going to play, maybe like the first song or whatever, because mentally, if I can be into that first song, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine anyhow, but even if I mess up, I'm going to be fine. But I like to get into that first song, so I would probably practice whatever it is was what I was going to open the show with, Can you recommend a tool or pedal for the best sustain? So sustain has a lot to do with your tone. It has to do with your guitar. So Les Paul will typically have more sustain than a Strat. Not always, but it also depends on what's happening. If you have a tone like this, you're not going to have as much sustain from the feedback loop that you might get from the speaker, as opposed to, say, something like this. That might go longer, okay? There's things like EBOs, an EBO. Now this is kind of a version that somebody sent me. I wish it worked right. It doesn't really work right. It works okay, and it's called Soundstone, and I really wanted it to work because it's really affordable. But in this case here, this works like an EBO. I'll try to get it to work right now. But essentially, yeah, this is why I can't recommend it. But, yeah, Doesn't even work. Yeah, sucks. Sorry guy who sent this to me. Sorry it didn't work. EBO, I don't have an EBO sitting around here, but basically that vibrates the strings in such a way that, oh, you've got one, Mike? Thanks, bud. Thank you so much. So this is an EBO. You fast, Mike. This is an EBO, and these are really cool because it allows you to do this sort of thing. Really great when we have some delay and verb and stuff like that. That's an EBO. Spooky, isn't it? Now, a lot of that sound that you're hearing has to do with my tone too, so don't be fooled that that's the only sound you're getting. Here's like regular tone guitar. Okay, it's basically feedback in a little handheld unit is essentially what we're talking about there. Pretty cool. So there's that. There are pedals that do similar things. So like, so that's something I just programmed into my Kemper where I can hit a note. And I can wind out a little bit more sustain out of it, but it's being done electronically, not so much with just the natural acoustics happening here. Okay, sweet. Oh, good. Loved your L and 7 for major minor because 69 is prohibited. Yes. If you guys haven't seen that, thank you, Joe Blow. If you guys have not seen that video, it's a really fun one, and it is extremely helpful with understanding where all the major and minor chords appear on the fretboard in any key, literally with this one little tiny pattern. It is wicked cool. Watch that one. It went up just the other day. You can search. It says it's something like Weird Trick for songwriters and something or another chords. Major minor. I call it major minor 69er because it looks like a 6 and a 9 on the fretboard. Nothing dirty by it, but my crew, dirty minds, started thinking something different. I still don't know to this day what they were thinking about, but they said don't do that. So, and then so I said, okay, well let's turn it into an L7 pattern because this looks like an L and this looks like a 7. These are the major chords. These are the minor chords, and it appears like that for every single key all over the fretboard. Super easy. Watch it. Okay. All right. Good. Super good stuff. Mike is asking how long I've been meditating. So I said that since we've been doing lots of these live broadcasts, and since we're in a weird little time, right? And this next week may even get slightly weirder. I don't know. That's what they're saying, right? That we may be on lockdown and that sort of thing. Then I'll probably be doing some live stuff from home, and it'll get weirder. I can guarantee you that. So, and one of the things I said is, hey, we're in this new place, right, where we're being introspective, and some people are being forced into this. And one of the things that, let's talk about some other stuff, like health and meditation and going inward and stuff like that. And meditation has absolutely changed my life, along with a handful of other things that I do now that have absolutely transformed my life. If you guys would have seen what was happening in my head up until about 2 or 3 years ago, I would look like the normal guy you've seen making videos, just like you see other people walking around. They look totally normal, and then all of a sudden, something happens and they're not normal, they're sad or whatever. And meditation's absolutely transformed my life in such a huge way. And so I highly recommend it, or some sort of getting quiet, some sort of introspection, some sort of looking inward and changing things and what have you. But meditation's been amazing for me. How long have I been doing it? I'd say that I've been probably doing it in some little way my whole life, but not until I started actively doing it and understanding what it was kind of that I was trying to do, which was basically hush my mind. That's the way I look at it. Some people don't look at it that way, but for me, it's very helpful if I can quiet my mind and allow there to be some space. So I've been doing that for a few years now, maybe like, I don't know, maybe like 5 years or so. Yeah. And it's been so helpful. Jody's saying, I'm ruined. It will forever be the major minor 69er to me. I know, it's so much more catchy than the L7, isn't it? And that's why I slipped it in there. Because, yeah. All right. Does anybody know of a free, decent kind of looping pedal app? There's lots of stuff that does that. GarageBand is free, pretty sure. Twice a day for 6 years now. Scott Willis is saying meditating. Yeah, it is a game changer. And so somebody's saying, what type of meditation? From my understanding, well, I mean, yeah, I suppose there's like people talk about transcendental meditation, which I think people are trying to, there's some sort of money, I think, maybe behind that, because I see people presenting that as like a product. So you don't need that. You just need to, like, literally, I describe it as this. If you are in the middle of Times Square and you're on your cell phone with your mom and she's complaining to you and you're looking at all these lights and everything else, if you could hang up with your mom and say, Mom, I love you, I'll call you later. And then you're in the middle of Times Square, you could close your eyes, and then you could put in earplugs, and then maybe you could go into a room so you weren't thinking about everything around you. Like, these are all levels, to me, of getting quiet. Obviously, we have all of our senses that are being agitated all the time, and if you can shut those off by purposely putting yourself in an area where you're quiet, then that will be very helpful. Otherwise, you're fighting external sources like the baby crying. Have somebody watching the baby while you're doing this, obviously. Noises and stuff like that. It's very hard to meditate in those situations. Sometimes that can be a great challenge, but most of the time, like, if I'm going to take the time to meditate, I want to get quiet. I want to drop down. I want to be able to turn stuff off. And if I'm hearing little things go on all the time, that makes it not very fun. So that's the type of meditation I do. I just go down in the basement. I typically do it with some sort of yoga, because yoga also makes me drop down and get really quiet for some reason. Endorphins and all that stuff start going. It's all brain chemistry. Much of it is brain chemistry. Maybe some spiritual stuff, I'm sure. And it's super easy. And folks say all the time, well, I can't do it. I think too much. That's the whole point, is that you can quiet your mind. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. The longer periods of time you can go by quieting your mind, not even have a thought come in. And it is a beautiful thing to not have to be thinking all the time. People go, well, that's just going to make you dumb. If you're not thinking, who doesn't think? Yeah, well, try to challenge yourself and see if you can make yourself not think and just have a moment of just bliss. You do this when you go to sleep. You don't seem to have a problem with it. So now try to not sleep and not have all these thoughts going through your head. It's pretty amazing stuff. What is the L7? I think I missed the video. Can you put the link here? Yeah, if someone can put the link to that video into the chat, that'd be great. Otherwise, yeah, just look on my YouTube channel. Should I support my finger when doing vibrato with fingers other than the index? You can. So like if I'm doing some vibrato here, you can see my finger. So in this case here, my third finger, I'm bringing my first and second finger up to support that. I typically wouldn't do vibrato like that. It feels awkward, but I might do this. Bring my thumb over the top of the neck, and if I'm doing my first finger, there's my thumb over the top of the neck again, second finger, pinky. So yeah, I'm bringing all my fingers together and I got my thumb over the top of the neck. Feels awkward to do it that way because I really don't have any control. Yeah, good. Let's talk about food. My knees hurt. Let's talk about food. I love food. Should I try to get someone to produce my music, or do I put it on YouTube first? I'd put it out on YouTube first and see what kind of response you get. And then go from there. If people think you're fascinating, then someone will probably step up and want to produce you. And if it's not very good, then they may give you some tips or tell you to tone it down or something. I don't know. Just see. Throw it out there. If you watch my first YouTube videos, they're not so good. They're definitely better today. But I just kept on doing it. And then I realized, oh, wow, that looks terrible to have the light behind me. Maybe I should have taken a shower that day. Put on a shirt without a stain. You know, get fancy. If you watch those first few videos that I did, they were not very good. Oh, yeah, so C-Man, yeah, I did post something on Twitter in regards to meditation. That's something that I listen to a lot of times when I'm meditating, and it makes it really easy to drop down. Super easy. Yep, I meditate twice a day. It's definitely got to be a quiet space. Start quieting your mind. Take a few deep breaths, and you can tell. That's another thing I do is I take in some nice deep breaths through my nose, breathing out through my nose, trying not to lift my shoulders, but just let my stomach come out, and that helps so much. Are bends hard to learn? No, they're not hard to learn. Dan Starkey, thank you so much. $1.99 donation there. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that. Are bends hard to learn? No, they're not hard to learn. You want to play a note, and then bend up to that note. Because you got the note in your ear. And then you can do it faster. That's the way to practice it. Cool. Sage, please answer. I am self-taught acoustic player. Would love to learn the lead, but I'm failing to implement this scales to a song. Please help. Please help, please. Junior, I've got the medicine for what ails you, friend, but a lot of times people try to jump and leapfrog some stuff. They want to skip stuff and have the knowledge at the same time. That would be like being in kindergarten and wanting to go straight to college. Yes, you're going to learn college stuff, but you're going to miss everything in between too. So don't think that you can skip stuff and learn it at the same time. You can only skip stuff. When you take a shortcut someplace, it can be a shortcut, but don't fool yourself into thinking that you're getting all the same stuff if you took the long way. Ooh, deep. But it's true, right? So I got plenty of videos for you on this, Junior. Search Your Guitar Sage Lead, search Your Guitar Sage Blues, search Your Guitar Sage Scales. Tons of stuff on this, okay? Your Guitar Sage Phrasing. I know, right? Kudos to the guy, Mike, that is Mike, doing the audio-visual engineering. Excellent camera and audio work. I agree, Jeff. He is on the ball. And he just goes and hands me the EBO, and he's a ninja. Biggest ninja I know. Thank you, Mike. What do you use for a DAW? Oh, okay, you guys are talking amongst yourselves there. Should I learn the cage system? You should, along with everything else, too. Cage system is really helpful. And this weekend I had a whole, and Dr. Boss, I have a whole course on this for you, for free. 28 videos. It was from this weekend. The broadcast that I did on Saturday. Look for that live broadcast. There's going to be a link in there, and it'll take you to those 28 videos. I think those are still available. Plus the 30-something videos that I'm giving you today for free inside of UGS Standard. So like literally the people that are in UGS Pro, the people that are UGS Standard, you could be in the same place for free today. The link for that's in the description below. So that's like 60-something videos that you can have today. Any tips on how that are not on YouTube, that are just in this private area without the ads and without everything else, plus PDF guidance and email support from me in the whole 9 yards. Any tips on how to start phrasing and improvising on the A minor pentatonic scales? Yes, learn one form. Learn one form first. I suggest form 1. It's the one that everybody uses. Learn that one first. Get really good at it. And learn to phrase with just one little section, usually 2 or 3 strings, okay? So like if I wanted to use that A7 chord progression earlier, and I've got 5 different, I say chord progression, it's a chord vamp, just one chord. If I wanted to have the whole fretboard I could choose from, I got that, but I just want to focus on one little section, so I might... and just get used to how that should feel. Then I can move someplace else. Get it? So you get used to that one little section and start talking like a toddler would. And then you start maturing in your talking, and then you start branching out to some different areas, adding, you know, maybe this pattern plus this pattern, or this pattern and this pattern, and then all of a sudden it starts happening gradually, right? That's how to do it. But start with something small. Okay. Did Jimi Hendrix play with the low E upside down, just turned around? No. Peter, what Jimmy did is he took a righty guitar and he flipped it. And he played it like this. And what he did is he had the nut switched. So you have to have that custom done. You have to have the nut switched around, right? Just flip it so that the low E can be here now. So for Jimmy, he played it just like you and I would, except the guitar was upside down. And so, there, you know, it's going to give the guitar a slightly different sound because now your low E string is being pulled all the way to the end here and your high E string is being pulled here. So the tension is different, and it is going to create a different sound. Maybe not one that you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that is so different of a sound. But as you mature as a player, those sorts of things you're going to hear them differently, whereas maybe in the beginning you wouldn't. Also, the feel of the guitar would be different for him as well doing that. Certain strings would be easier to bend than others. Okay. Yeah, a lot of folks talking about a DAW in the chat right now. A DAW is a digital audio workstation. Audacity, Reaper, GarageBand, there's a slew of them out there. Pro Tools, Logic, I've used all those. Cakewalk, Cubase, I think I've used them all. Haven't used Reaper actually, but all of those are great programs. Some of them, they have free trials. Some of them are just free, like GarageBand. If you have Mac, GarageBand is a fantastic program. They have it for iOS too. Your phone, your iPad, super easy to use, and yeah, they're just amazing. All right, friends. Oh, that was my bad. Sorry about that. Hey, we're at 280 in the likes right now. I tell you what, if you guys can pump that up to 300 in the next 6 minutes or so. So if you're watching right now and you haven't hit liked already, then please do that, because if you do it, I'll keep going. If we can do that within 6 minutes here, then I'll keep going. Otherwise, I'll assume you guys are done with me, and I don't want to waste your time, okay? You look comfortable with that guitar. I feel comfortable with that guitar. Stevie Ray Vaughan liked the tremolo bar up top like that. Yeah, I think he was doing that as a tip of the hat to Jimmy, because he loved Jimi Hendrix, and I think that's why he did that, you know. Do you think an Epiphone SG Special and a Vox Pathfinder 2 are good options for first guitar and amp? What would you say is the minimum budget to get a decent but still cheap kit for beginners? Joao, I would not worry about that. Number one, I haven't tried the Pathfinder, haven't tried the SG. What I do know is this. When I was 15 years old and I fell in love with this PV Razor guitar and a cheap-ass Audition 20 amplifier, that's all I could afford. And in fact, I couldn't afford it. My dad bought it for me. And I wasn't wondering if it was going to be enough. It was enough. It was amazing. And it was more than I had. So that's the way you want to think. I'm not trying to get all weird here on you. I'm just being like, it's fine. Whatever you have is what you have, and that's going to be fine. Okay? So that's for everybody. You know what I'm talking about. It's just like you have what you have. Use that. It's going to be fine. I love what you just played. The short, fun, simple pentatonic 3/4 string sound. Which lesson about that? Susan, if you're inside of UGS, it's a whole bit that I call minimalistic blues playing. Otherwise, on YouTube, you could just search YourGuitarSage minimalistic, and you'll find that as well. It's just about focusing on one little area of the neck, getting familiar with that. And friends, if you're wanting to get into lead guitar, that is the most fun, it's the easiest, most efficient way to learn lead guitar, because what happens a lot of times is people consider all the scales and they're looking for this magic scale that if they can get that under their fingers, they're just going to start flowing and sounding great. There's never been such a scale. It's never happened since the beginning of time till the end of time, amen. Will never happen. So stop looking for that and get used to using a few notes and getting familiar with those notes, okay? That would be akin to me going to Home Depot, buying a hammer, putting it on a desk and wondering why it's not building any homes, and then I go buy 50 more hammers and I bring them all and I sit them on my bench and I look at them and I wonder why they're not doing anything. They're not gonna damn do anything, right? You gotta pick one up and you gotta start using it. So, and just use it very simply, and this will start happening for you, but you've got to get that mindset of just doing a small amount and then earning that and then moving on to the next thing, okay? Oh, beautiful. You guys rock. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to keep going because you guys just bumped up those likes. All right? I just watched the L7 69er. Spooky starting, right? It's kind of weird, kind of fun. B.B. King literally played songs with just 3 notes, but did it quite well. Yeah, he definitely played more than 3 notes, but he kept things pretty simple. And a lot of his stuff was playing major blues. You know? As opposed to, that's more minor blues. As opposed to major blues. So that was what BB was known for, was his major blues bit here. Okay, who are some of your favorite guitar players these days? What are musics you're listening to? Any new favorites? So I listen to all manner of music. I listen to EDM, I listen to dub, I listen to hip hop, I listen to rock, I listen to jazz, I listen to classical. If it's good music, I listen to it. If it's good production or just good songwriting. And this morning, I literally went to Spotify and I just said happy because I wanted to play a bunch of fun, happy songs this morning, get my family in a great, fun, happy mood before I left the house. And that's what we did. So we were listening to All About That Bass and just goofy, fun, ridiculous, poppy, bubblegum stuff. But I love really deep stuff too, you know. Yesterday I was learning the piano. I was playing piano, and I was learning playing some Beethoven, some Moonlight Sonata, and then I had to say, I said, I can't play this right now. I need to play something fun right now because it's kind of bringing me down a little bit. But I dig it. I love stuff in a minor key too, you know. I love Deep Purple. Yeah. How do I loop in one amp and play in another? I have a loop pedal. So Patrick, what you would want to do if you have two amps is get your looper plugged into one amp, play your loop, and then plug into the other amp, and then play that amp. Yeah. Make sense? Let me know if that doesn't answer your question. But I think that's what you're looking for. Oh, beautiful. Hey, Elad. I'm 13 years old and I live in Israel and I watch you. What's up, Elad? How you doing, my friend? Somebody must have disliked on accident. Just for the record, I like it. Thank you. I hope it's fun for you too. Yeah. The police video you made, the telly, and what else you used for that sound. Okay, so I played a show with my daughter in October last year, and we did Every Breath You Take. We did Love Song by The Cure. I'm like literally looking at my set list that's on my board here. We did Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, Beat It, and maybe like one other tune. It was as a Halloween show. And I was dressed up as a T-Rex, as a dude riding a T-Rex, which you might have seen a video for that last year. And anyhow, the tone that I'm using here for Every Breath You Take, I think this is... That is... let's see, let me make sure I have... Every breath you take, right? Every move you make, every bond you break, every something, I'll be watching you. Right? So this right here, let's listen. We know there's delay. Pop, 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 pop. You hear that? That's delay. Reverb is that sound where it sounds like I'm in a big room, and it's not this. It's not that. It's this sound. Right? If I turned off the delay, it would sound like this. That's reverb. And if I turn the reverb off, now we just have chorus. See how it sounds kind of swirly? If we turn that off, now we just have boring, which may be a doubler, just a doubler now. Meaning I got, yeah, and that's just straight. Kind of boring, right? But we put them all together. And I'm muting. So that's what I was using to create that sound, and I used the Telly because he used that a lot, right? Someone asked to hear that rhythm part, right, of Beat It. I have a video for that, I'm pretty sure. Do I know Billy Strings? He's a great new bluegrass player. He's amazing. No, I don't. I don't know who Billy Strings is. I feel like I've heard that name, though. Can I play an electric guitar through an acoustic amp? Does it sound like a regular electric guitar amp with the clean sound without gain, or is it different? It will sound just very clean, probably very boring. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that? I must have been too loud for you guys. I'm sorry.
Just give me like a 2-second warning next time, guys.
For which one? Was that what
Your
was
police tone
was
peaked
super
out
loud?
for a second.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so
I got it
sorry.
as soon as I could.
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
Sorry, guys.
Blew out my headphones. F. Sorry, guys. Okay. Okay, is that the same guitar that Bob, used for his 65 electric thing? I don't know, but this is a 65 Strat for sure. Yeah. All right, so, we talked earlier about, about practice, about 7 daily practice exercises that are in 365, and they were, just kind of revamping here. We were talking about alternate picking, hammer-ons and pull-offs, economy picking, stretch and reach, scales and sequences, modes, that sort of thing, finger picking, and there was something else. Modes and sequences. Oh, polyphonic playing, which was like octaves, double stops, triads, that sort of thing. And so what I proposed was that, in your practice, that you have a specific day. This is one way that you can do it. It's not the right way, but like if you're trying to stretch yourself, have a specific day where maybe you focus on a particular thing that you normally would not. Just like in this moment that we're in time right now, it's kind of forcing us to do certain things, to bust out of our comfort levels. It's forcing us to do that, and that can be a good thing because it might force us to do something that we might not normally do in a good way. So practicing like that is a great way to do it. You don't have to be in 365 to do this, but just give yourself the opportunity, give yourself an exercise or something to work on during those days that are going to stretch you. Otherwise, if you do want to get in 365, it's 75% off, and the link is below. I suggest boycott of all MJ riffs if you've seen his deposition tapes. I know he hasn't been getting a lot of radio love these days. I know, yeah, crazy world. All right, I'm thinking, folks, that we're probably going to end it here just because we're waning a little bit, and I don't want to drag this out. I want to be here for you guys, but I don't want to spend too much time if you guys are not super active. Okay? These are beautiful times together, friends. Keep keep your minds focused on things that are good. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening, a lot of crazy things like on social media and what have you. So just keep your mind focused on good things, your family, go inward, playing the guitar, being out with nature, just all the rest. Try not to get caught in the hoopla of so much of the talk. Although it seems that people are really coming together. I'm really loving that. I'm seeing like literally folks coming together more and more, and stuff like this always makes folks do that. So I love that. So this has been a great broadcast today. Guys, thank you so much. If you want to take advantage of 365 today, 75% off. Watch the video that I dropped today if you like Smashing Pumpkins. Okay, we just dropped that at 10 o'clock this morning, and we've also had other live broadcasts this week, so there's plenty of stuff. Oh, there it is. Hey, there it is, right there. It looks like that. Looks like me smashing a pumpkin with this guitar. Yeah, okay. All right, friends. Love you guys. Thank you so much. This has been a great broadcast. Great broadcast. I probably won't be live during the weekend. I might be. I don't know. Depends. But I definitely will be, or I'm going to try to be next week. We're going to try to have a setup for me to do this at home if we get locked down. Okay? Thanks so much. See ya.